There are so many different types of lights to choose from to light your home studio, but one of the simplest solutions for beginners are streaming lights. These lights are designed to be mounted to your desk for live streaming, for gaming, video calls, or even talking head style YouTube videos just like this one. There are a bunch of different streaming lights to choose from, but in this video, we have 3 of the top brands that we're gonna test out so you can choose which one of these lights might be the best fit for you.
You gotta just press record.
Hi everyone, Craig Pruitt with Think Media. Let's first talk about streaming lights and why you might choose a streaming light instead of something like a Cobb style light. Cobb, or COB, stands for chip on board, and these lights have a really powerful LED sensor that outputs a much brighter result than you would get out of a streaming light. But there are some real benefits for choosing a streaming light, which include 1, they are really easy to use. Almost anyone can pick up one of these lights on this list and integrate these into your home studio setup, no problem. And 2, even though they are simple, they are a really high quality and accurate source of light, so you won't have to worry about too much color shifting happening in your image. And 3, streaming lights are really lightweight and compact. They're very portable and hardly take up any space in your studio, so they are great for smaller spaces. So you'll be trading off the intense brightness and modularity that a lot of the Cobb style lights have for the simplicity and the compact nature of streaming lights like these. Now let's dive into the top 3 brands that we have featured in this video, the first being the Elgato Key Light. In June of 2024, we bought this light for $139.99, and it's actually come down quite a bit in price since 2019. It was closer to around $200 back then, and has actually even been above $200 in the last 5 years. So it's settled around 140 bucks, which is a pretty fair price point. In the box, you'll get the light panel as well as a desk mount to be able to mount that light to your desk directly, a ball head so you can adjust the tilt of your light to be able to tilt it down on your face, as well as the power adapter to power the light. A few key features of the Elgato Key Light are it features 160 LEDs that sit behind this really nice soft layer of diffusion, which actually gives you a pretty surprisingly soft light for how small the footprint of this light actually is. This is also a bicolor temperature light ranging from 2900 Kelvin all the way up to 7000 Kelvin. I'm using the light as my key light right now, and I currently have it set to 5600 Kelvin, but I have my Stream Deck set to a custom button so I can very quickly switch this to 3200 Kelvin. So now it's a warmer look, and I'll switch back to 5600. It's nice to have that bicolor temperature so you can match whatever lighting scene that you'd like to match it to. This light is also a super thin design. It measures only 35 millimeters thick, so really you can put this light anywhere. It's very, very small. So those are a couple features of the Elgato Key Light, but I want to talk about the way you can control this light and each of these lights individually, because that's where the biggest difference is from one light to another, is in the way that you can control the individual lights. So we'll start with the Elgato. There's many different ways you can control the Elgato, but the weird thing about the Elgato Key Light is that all of them really rely on another piece of equipment to operate it to its full potential. On the unit, you only have one switch, and this is a power on or off and a reset button. So there's no way to adjust color temperature or brightness output. You do have to use other apps and software in order to be able to adjust those settings, which is kind of a bummer. I'd like physical control on the light, but you don't get that with the Elgato Key Light. So the main way you can control this is the Elgato Control Center app. This is really easy to get up and running. Really, you can just follow the setup instructions in the manual that they give you. You just got to connect your light to your Wi-Fi network, and then you'll be ready to use these different control options. The Elgato Control Center app is both a phone application, which is a very simple and effective app. You can just control the light's color temperature and output directly from your smartphone device. And you also have a computer control option as well. And this is essentially the same thing as the phone app, where you can control output and color temperature. Alternatively, and my favorite way personally to control the Elgato Key, is with something like a Stream Deck. Elgato has a wide variety of Stream Decks that you can purchase, and a Stream Deck is really just a customizable control panel that can be used to perform simple or even pretty complex commands with just a simple press of a button. I personally have this Stream Deck Mark II, which I love using to control this light, as well as a bunch of different other computer functions, but the main light controls that I have are simply power on and off. So I'm using it right now. I can power this on and off very quickly. So there's off and on. I also have brightness up and down, so I can adjust brightness up and down very quickly, as well as color temperature. So you saw earlier, I can switch to 3200 Kelvin, which I just did, and switch back to 5600. The Stream Deck is by far my favorite way to control the Elgato Key, but this is also an additional $125 or so. So that's going to increase the total cost of your light a lot if you have to buy a Stream Deck on top of your Elgato Key. Elgato also has a Elgato Light remote, which is not included, unfortunately, with this unit, which is an additional $30 if you want to purchase. It's really unfortunate that they didn't include the physical remote, because that would have been a way where you didn't have to use a computer or a phone or a Stream Deck to control the light, and you would have a physical item, right? So like these lights right behind me, I control with a physical remote in my studio. I don't have to have a computer up, and I can turn them off and I can turn them on with just one click of a button. I'd love to have this remote included in the kit, but you don't get it. It's an additional $30, which could turn off a lot of people. So that's the Elgato Key Light, a couple of the main features, as well as all the different ways you can control the light. I'm using it right now, but we're gonna swap now to our second light, which is the Neewer GL1 Pro. All right, we've just hooked up the Neewer GL1 Pro as our new key light, and this is the cheapest light on our list, and it honestly reminds me a ton of the Elgato Key Light, but it comes in at a more affordable price point than the Elgato, and it also has a few key differences, but some of the differences I actually really like and maybe even prefer over the Elgato Key Light. In the box, you'll obviously get the light as well as a desk stand, a ball head, a power adapter, but you also get a Bluetooth USB dongle, and this allows you to control the light from your computer with no Wi-Fi connection. We'll talk about that a little bit more in just a minute. A couple main features of this light is that there are 192 LEDs, which is a bit more than the Elgato has, but honestly, I don't really notice a huge difference in output between these two lights. They seem to be pretty on par as far as output, even though the Neewer has more LED lights. You also get the exact same bi-color temperature range, so 2900 Kelvin all the way up to 7000 Kelvin. However, it seems that the Neewer light is a little bit cooler than the Elgato, so I need to warm up my light a bit and shoot closer to around 5200 Kelvin to get the same color temperature at 5600 Kelvin that the Elgato had. Now in my testing, I also noticed that the Godox light looked a little bit warmer as well. So here's like a side-by-side comparison of the three different lights. I locked off my camera to be at 5600 Kelvin internal white balance, and then I also set the color temperature of all of my lights to 5600 Kelvin. And you can tell that the Neewer and the Godox light align really nicely as far as color, and then the Elgato light is actually the one that stands out to me as being a little bit too warm. It's just something I want you to be aware of in case you're buying different types of models and trying to integrate them into your scene. Some of these lights do have variance as far as what actual color temperature they're emitting at the stated color temperature you set the light to. As far as control options for the Neewer GL1 Pro, you get several different options, and the first one is my favorite. You do get physical controls on the light, which is just a big improvement over the Elgato Key Light. This means that you can adjust your color temperature and your output control directly on top of the unit, which is a big win in my opinion, so you don't have to use other pieces of technology to operate your lights. You also get a Neewer Control Center app, which is very similar to the Elgato app. You have a phone app that's very intuitive, so here's the app right here, and I'll go ahead and control my key light with the app. We'll just turn the light on and off. It's very quick and responsive. I can adjust color temperature down to 2900 Kelvin and then all the way up to 7000 Kelvin, so very cool. Here's a brightness test all the way at 100% brightness, so plenty of brightness to work with. And the computer app also looks really nice. You have some different presets like candlelight or sunset, sunlight, and you can adjust color and brightness from the app as well. These lights do come with a 2.4 gigahertz USB transmitter, and this allows you to use the light from your computer without needing a Wi-Fi connection. This little tiny USB dongle communicates from your computer to the light, and you're able to make these talk to each other without needing a wireless internet signal. And the last way you can control this Neewer light is actually with the Elgato Stream Deck. Elgato has a plugin called the Neewer Control Center, which you can add to your Stream Deck, which then gives you the ability to control your lights. Right now I have another GL1 Pro from Neewer set to my fill light side, and I have that mapped to my Elgato Stream Deck as well, so I can turn on and off my fill light really quickly or adjust the color temperature and the brightness level. Such a cool feature that you can map the Neewer lights directly to the Elgato Stream Deck as well. So that's the Neewer GL1 Pro. I'm using two of them right now. One is my key, one is my fill. It's a very solid and affordable option, especially as you stack it against the Elgato Key Light, which is a little bit more expensive. Now, before we dive into our final light, you've got to check out the sponsor of this video, StreamYard.
StreamYard is our go-to platform for streaming to YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and other platforms easily. StreamYard gives you the power to produce your own show at a high level with a super easy to use interface that allows you to do transitions, add your own branding, and add text lower thirds. I personally love and use StreamYard to live stream my Coffee with Cannell show, to do interviews, to bring on special guests, and I love the local record feature that allows you to have peak quality when bringing on guests and capturing the video and the audio separately. So if you want to, you can take your final production to a whole nother level. As a podcaster or video creator, this is the ultimate tool. So if you want to create better content with more simplicity and less stress, grab your free trial of StreamYard today at streamwiththink.com. Now let's jump back into the video.
The third and final light on our list is the Godox ES45 Key Light. This comes in at $139 in June of 2024. This light is branded ES for esports, so this is really targeted towards gamers. So shouts out to you if you're a gamer. This light might be a good pickup just because they're really thinking about you. So shouts out to Godox for all the gamers out there. In the box, you'll be getting the light panel as well as the desk stand and a ball head adapter so you can tilt that light towards you, a power adapter, as well as my favorite feature of this light, a detachable controller, which we'll talk about more in in just a minute. As far as features, you do get 176 LEDs, which puts this in the middle of the pack as far as number of LEDs. But again, the output of this light is nearly indistinguishable from the other two. They're all plenty bright for streaming and video calls, etc. As far as color temperature, this is also a bicolor temperature light, so you can go all the way down to 2800 Kelvin, so very warm obviously, and then it goes all the way up to, I believe, 6500 Kelvin, so pretty blue. There are a couple ways that you can control the ES45. First is from the unit itself. You do have an on and off switch on the back of the unit, as well as a detachable wireless controller. Look at this thing. This thing is so cool. It uses the same 2.4 gigahertz tech that the newer USB dongle does, so you can use this remote with no Wi-Fi signal to control the light, which is just outstanding. I love using this thing. This controller also mounts magnetically to the light, so you can snap it onto the back of the unit, and when you do that, it charges the light straight from the back of the unit, so you don't have to worry about plugging this in. And in case you do want to have it full-time on your desk or something, it also charges via USB-C. I love this little controller, and honestly, if you're thinking about which one you should purchase, you do have to take into consideration the fact that you get this really awesome controller with the Godox ES45. Beyond the controller, you also have a mobile app called the Godox Light app. It's very similar to the newer app Control Light and the Elgato app as well. And really, it just gives you full control over your light, so you can increase the intensity, change the color temperature, etc. I did not see an option for computer control for the ES45. I don't think they have a native computer app, at least on Mac, to control the ES45. So that's just a consideration. If you want to control the light from a computer device, I don't see a way that you can do that as of 2024. All right, those are three great streaming lights that are all pretty affordable with really good performance and also have a variety of features. But which one would I suggest for you? Well, I think it depends on your use case. If you're somebody who's on a budget, I'd actually suggest the Neewer GL1 Pro. It's a really solid option and is usually on sale between $100 and $120 USD. If you're someone who is all about ecosystems and integration and technology, I think Elgato has this really covered for you. If you're already part of Elgato's system and have one of their stream decks, if you have the Elgato prompter, which I'm using right now to record this video, if you have a face cam, all of these different Elgato products, the Elgato Key Light seems like a really natural fit, and it's honestly a really great light. And if you want just a simple standalone light, I think the Godox ES45 is amazing. I love the wireless controller, and I think that alone makes it the best choice for using this unit without needing to rely on other pieces of equipment like a phone, computer, etc. This is the only unit that comes with a wireless controller you can put on your desk and control the light without having to get up and adjust things manually. So which one we recommend really just depends on your use case. I think I could see a case for any of these lights being a good fit for different kinds of creators. If you're in the process of building out your YouTube studio right now and want some fresh ideas, you can click or tap the screen to check out 10 essentials that every YouTube studio needs. Thanks so much for watching this video, and we'll see you in the next one.